Hi, I'm Andrew Grunowski. I'm one of the designers of Magonomia, the role playing game of Renaissance wizardry. And we're going to be playing today. I'm actually going to be just a player, not the GM. Magonomia is a game where all the player characters play wizards. It's in a fantasy version of 16th century Europe, specifically England under Queen Elizabeth, the time of Shakespeare and many interesting happenings. And the magic is based on the literature of the period, Shakespeare, and also on the writings of people who took magic seriously at the time. My wife Vesna is going to be the game master today. Vesna, why don't you tell us a little bit about the story that you have planned?
So just to give a little bit of background on who the characters are and what the story is all about. So the overall campaign that we're playing is an Elizabethan spy story, an extended spy campaign, and the characters are all wizards who have been by various ways employed by Her Majesty's Secret Service to act as spies and as investigators and solvers of supernatural events. So Her Majesty being Elizabeth I, and the way this works is that Her Majesty's Secret Service finds individuals who have useful skills or may be in a help position to help, and either persuades them to help out or uses some kind of leverage that they happen to have on them to talk them into doing their patriotic duty. And this is how the player characters came to work for Her Majesty's Secret Service. Um, and most of them have worked together, although not all of them. This is the second mission for some of the characters. But since not everybody has been together before, I think it helps if we go around the table.
Very good. My character is Harry Barlow, and he is a sorcerer. Sorcery is somewhat dodgy magic that relies on conjuring spirits, and the spirits are not all necessarily good. Uh, Harry is working for Her Majesty's Secret Service because he's a professional treasure hunter, and he found some treasure on a nobleman's property and got caught in the act. He suspects entrapment, but in any case, they have plenty of leverage over him, and now he does what his handler tells him to do, which it turns out is so far more uplifting than sneaking around in the dark digging up treasure in people's yards. Next.
My name's Dave. I'm playing an alchemist named William Thornwood. He likes to produce art objects for the gentry folk. Has a merchant class, and one of the things that he likes to experiment to create new things. And a trouble that he has, which is he has the philosophy of what could possibly go wrong.
Oh, and your magic is Dave, or I'm sorry, your character's name, I forget.
William?
William. William's magic is alchemy, right?
Yes.
I'm Melanie, and my character is Susanna Taylor. Your gist, and she kind of follows a track of being a fairy doctor, and she goes around from village to village, trying to help any spiritual things that come up, and trying to bridge the gap so that one day know more about the spiritual realm. And this is her first mission. She was just given a letter so that she could join up. So she's going to see what this is about.
My name's Pat. My character is a witch named Sarah McClellan. She's a lady's maid and is bored and interested in a challenge. The spy master discovered that and also discovered she can't back down from a challenge. She's kind of on the hook. That's her.
And we just all got letters to show up at this. Well, Vesna, why don't you take it away, actually?
So you, yep, you all received letters asking you to show up on a Friday night, about an hour before sunset, at Charles the Chandler's house, which is a safe house that most of you have been there, have been to before. The letter is signed with the sigil of Thomas Barnes, who is your handler for Her Majesty's Secret Service. So he's the guy who's given you your previous mission.
And the safe house is in London, right?
The safe house is in London, and it's in Cheapside where the merchants are. This guy's doing fairly well, although he's not on the fancy street. He's a little bit off. So apparently somebody must have some dirt on him, because the last time you visited, he was a bit reluctant, but you know, what choice did he have? Okay, so is there anything you want to do before you make your way there? And is there any particular order in which you want to arrive, if that matters to you?
Well, William is going to arrive a little late, I realize, because he's working on a project, and then he's going to look up and see the sun and go, oh dear, I'm late.
Okay.
That was
Go ahead.
the procedure, or if anyone else is showing up, so that I know what to do. And so I was just going to observe and maybe try to go second, and if I saw anyone else go in.
Okay.
I would have had to arrange with Lady Rosemary anyway, so I assume I'd be more or less on time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm first.
Yeah, I'm not rushing to get there. Last time I went to the servants' entrance, and I've decided that I'm not doing that anymore.
Okay. Okay, so in that case, Sarah arrives first. She had to dodge out a little bit, because the problem with Lady Rosemary is if you don't run the second you have the opportunity, she comes up with something else for you to do that absolutely cannot wait and will delay you forever. So you hoofed it out, and you get there first. You arrive at the house, which is typical. It's a two-story house in the Tudor style.
I'm knocking on the door.
All right, and the same maidservant whom you saw last time opens the door and says, "Oh, hang on, I'll get the master." And she takes off at quite a clip, clearly not being sure how to talk to a lady or a wizard, for that matter. And a few minutes later, Charles the Chandler comes huffing and puffing down the stairs. He's been in better shape at some point. Says, "Oh, it's you. You're expected upstairs, milady, and why don't you make yourself comfortable in the parlor? And oh, there's wine." And he takes off.
Okay, so I see her go in and saw that the door opened, so I'll go to that same door and knock.
Yep. Same maidservant, but she hasn't seen you before, so she doesn't know who you are. So she'll look at you and say, "How can I help you?"
And I'm gonna hold up the letter I got and just say, I was directed to this address.
I will fetch the master. Please wait here. And she takes off and is clearly overwhelmed by the situation. And sure enough, same portly gentleman comes downstairs and says, you are here for the meeting as well?
I am.
In that case, let me show you to the parlor upstairs. This way, please. And he takes you up the stairs. There's a small room, and this is a bit unusual. Usually public rooms would be downstairs, and like more private rooms where the family spends time would be upstairs. But he takes you into a small office-like space that has a table, some chairs. There's wine on a, well, sideboard, I guess. It's not something like that. And other than that, the room is fairly bare. It doesn't have a lot of distinguishing characteristics. And it says, if you would wait with the lady here, the remaining people are probably on their way. And he goes back downstairs, and you two find yourselves upstairs. You have not met yet.
I'm Susanna.
I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, so I'm looking a little travel worn. I have a staff and carrying a bag that's maybe a little more stuffed than people might travel with, but I carry my life on my back with me.
Oh, yeah. Sarah's just as glad there's another girl in the mix.
Ah.
The rest of them are men.
Oh,
I'm glad to see another.
I haven't had wine in a while. Have you tried this? Is it good?
All right. I'm probably the next one to arrive. Harry
Yep.
comes to the front door. Does
All right.
the maidservant answer it?
Yes, she does.
Harry has the aspect at home among the lower classes. So he says, it's us again, love. Don't worry. Your master's not mixed up in this. He's just giving us a place to meet. The less you see and hear, the sooner this will all be over.
Okay, so you actually know that this is Nell, the maidservant.
All right.
You talked to her previously.
Yeah.
And she says, that's a relief to know. I'll be telling you, I really need this job. And I'd be real scared to find out that the master's mixed up in something, not quite right.
As a matter of fact, this is most likely is his way of staying out of it.
And she looks relieved and a little bit less hostile, frankly.
All right. Then I go upstairs.
Yeah, she says, oh, you know the way. I trust you not to nick any silverware. Okay, and in the meantime, our busy alchemist has figured out that it's probably time to show up. So.
This time he remembers to take off the apron that he's been wearing while he's doing his work, and rushes to Charles's house and knocks on the door.
Okay, and the maidservant opens it, and she actually looks a little bit less surly than last time you saw her. You don't know why. She says, "Oh, good evening. Are you here about the thing upstairs?"
Yes, I am.
In that case, if you'll wait here for a moment, I will get the master, and he will tell you what to do next. And she goes and gets Charles the Chandler, who hoofs it down the stairs again, huffing and puffing, and says, please follow me to the room upstairs. Master Barnes will be with you shortly.
Oh, thank you, Charles.
And he takes you upstairs, and in that, it's the same room that you've been in before. You see just a table, some wine cups, and 3 people you've met before, and a woman that is unfamiliar.
Okay. As we're going up the stairs, I'm talking to Charles about, one idea that you could do that would help both of us is if we put scents in your candles. Trying to stir up a business.
What in our what?
Some of the rooms where they get musty, they get an odd odor. By working certain scents into it, we can just maybe increase both of our sales.
Huh, maybe it's something for the noble folk, because most people just change the rushes when they get musty. But hmm, this way. And he takes off, like you just said, that he uses the floor for a bathroom.
Oh dear.
Okay, so yeah, you find yourself in a room with the other three. Do you have anything to discuss before anything happens, or?
I'll introduce myself. I'm pretty friendly. I'm Susanna.
Hi, I'm William.
Hi. And you, I'm pointing to the guy.
I'm Harry. Harry, you can tell, is you can tell there are many tells that Harry is has a bit of a lower class background. His clothes are decent, but they're clearly secondhand and not tailored to him. He's got an accent. Um, did anybody have a familiar?
I do.
Ooh, what's your familiar?
The mouse is in my pocket.
Nice.
Okay, so it's not anything obvious. Okay. So if you don't have much else to discuss before Master Barnes appears, Master Barnes appears. Yeah, he comes up the stairs, and you've seen him before. He's wearing good clothes, but nothing overly fancy. And he's the kind of person that you would probably not remember if you ran into him in the street. He just looks very, very ordinary. You know, that blonde hair that's just that regular muddy blonde, not particularly handsome, but not particularly ugly either. Not particularly poor, but not particularly wealthy either. All in all, he's harder to pin down than most people you meet every day, which is saying something in a society where you can tell most people's station by looking at them. And he says, you are all here. I am quite glad that you could make it. Did you find it all right? He looks at Susanna, sorry, both as names.
My parents' shop.
Actually couldn't quite make that out.
It's not far from my parents' shop, so I made it fine.
Good. Glad to hear it. I asked you to come here because something has come to our attention, and I suspect it may be a case that requires your talents. The Italian ambassador's son appears to have gone missing. Usually, this would not be a particular case for wizards. The trouble is that he appears to have gone missing after a trip across the river to Southwark, getting drunk with some friends, and then deciding to visit a cemetery for some youthful shenanigans.
Cemetery is not the word that I was expecting.
You will have to find out more. They're young, they were drunk. He went there on a dare. At least that's what his friends have said, and that was the last anyone saw of him.
When was this?
This was 2 days ago.
2 days.
Yes. At first, they thought maybe he was sleeping it off at one of the stews or something, but when he did not come home 2 days later, inquiries were made of his friends, and it turns out he had not been seen in a while, and they were afraid to talk to anybody about this. in case they got in trouble. These are young men.
His friends came back, but he did not?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Perhaps you can get more out of them than we could.
Surely they told you a story.
The story is that they went to Southwark for some drinking and to the theater, went to a cemetery on a dare, and he supposedly wandered off by himself, and they didn't see him again. Doesn't entirely hold up, but they're sticking to it.
It does sound rather fishy.
They seemed quite afraid.
Interesting.
And usually this would not be a case for wizards. Many young people get in trouble in the city, but this could be an incident if it turns out that he ran afoul of something.
Well, if he ran afoul of something in a cemetery, it could be an incident of a supernatural kind as well as diplomatic.
This is why we thought it would take wizards to look into this.
I've got my suspicions about which cemetery. Tell me which cemetery. Harry is well skilled in arcana and knows a great deal about hauntings and ghost stories and that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I had trouble finding a specific name of a cemetery in London that was around at the time.
Is this the place where they bury the criminals and all the people, criminals who get executed?
As a matter of fact, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Dodgy place. He didn't pick the nice cemetery.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there on a dare.
On a job? Yes.
Yeah. Indeed. All right, I'm not really a planner. What do you say we go there tonight?
Oh.
What could possibly go wrong?
Twice, 2 times, right in a row. Bam! Oh.
What if we talk to his friends first and then go there?
Sure, I'll go with that.
But I can't resist. Someone needs help, so.
All right. Mr. Barnes, do you have anything else for us before we run off and start this search?
I can give you the names of the young men involved.
That will certainly help.
Yeah. So he gives you some names.
How many?
There were 4 of them total, and it was one other Italian boy, and 2 English kids. So there's another Italian man called Antonio, because I can't think of much else. And let me see. There's one Jeffrey. And let me quickly, and I had it written down. I'm sorry about the delay. Okay, there we go. There's a Giacomo. The Giacomo's the missing kid. So yep, it was Giacomo and his buddy Antonio. Jeffrey was one of the English boys, and Robert was the other one.
What are the last names of Jeffrey and Robert?
They are local boys. Jeffrey is Jeffrey Marlowe because it's a common name, and yeah, Robert is actually plain old Robert Smith.
Um,
Are these well-connected families?
So that's the difficulty. Antonio is part of the delegation. They came with the Italian ambassador. His father is a secretary to the ambassador. Jeffrey is a third cousin to a minor nobleman, and Robert Smith is the son of one of the highly placed clerks at court. These are all 15, 16-year-old young men who went out for a night on the town and then got stupid. They are fairly well connected. Mostly it's about avoiding an incident and finding out what happened to Giacomo.
Harry says, well, Mr. Barnes, thank you very much. We have every confidence that our arcane arts will turn up Giacomo safe and sound in short order.
I appreciate it very much. You will be doing Her Majesty's government a large service if you avert this difficulty.
I'll say, by the way, what manner of Italian, from what part of the peninsula is Mr. Giacomo and his father?
Giacomo and his father are both Venetian.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
They're Venetian.
Great, thanks. Have a nice night. Bye-bye. And I'm hoping that I can get him out of here and we can still sit around the table for a bit.
Yep. He, after, some more pleasantries and so forth, he is more than happy to take off because he doesn't want to miss curfew, among other things.
As soon as he's gone, I say, of course he's Venetian. What city is synonymous with intrigue? All right. So it's going to be dark in half an hour. And we want to get, I think we want to talk to Antonio first, but I can't do it because, well, I'm not the sort who gets to talk to the son of the secretary to the ambassador.
Well, a lady's maid and a merchant might have some luck.
Is it likely that I can get to talk to them, Bessa?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're well connected at court. You might go that route. It might also be possible to go the mercantile route because you know that the Venetians are really big into merchant stuff. This person is likely to be a nobleman rather than just a merchant, but those are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
I was thinking that it's possible that I've been trying to gain contacts to sell some of the objects that I create.
Mm-hmm.
And this would have been a good place to try and get sales because of the money that was available from the Italian or the Venetian market.
There's a lot of money, and you know as a wizard that the Venetians are, among other things, and as an alchemist especially, that they are master glass blowers. Their factory of Murano is known, I think, already. And if it's not, then
It is. Definitely is.
They're known across the world as masterful glass blowers, and you've heard amazing things of their glass.
Okay. One thing that I think this is going to cost me a fate point. I have been buying glass for them for the past 2 years for my alchemical work.
Okay. Sure. That works. Yeah.
So that costs me a fate point, correct?
Um, you know, sure. Let's it costs a fate point because it does establish a relationship and help the story along.
Well, I'm a bit new to intrigue, but if you have a way into him, I can certainly um, talk to some others. I would, I would love your advice, as I'm not sure how to fit into this group yet.
Well, I know a thing or two about conspiracies, strictly from reading, all theoretical, of course. And um, they've had time to get their story straight. They've probably already been questioned. But the important thing is to find what doesn't add up between the different witnesses and to talk to them alone.
Separately or together?
Oh, separately for sure.
So, like, we could each assign ourselves to one?
We could. Um, Better if we stick together so we can use our magic to help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm used to working alone, so I'll follow your advice.
I guess the first question we want to figure out is Antonio a loyal friend or not?
And how do these other two fit in? How did they get to know these guys? Did they just meet at the bar?
Yeah, that's what I want to. That's what I want to find. Ooh. All right, we've got their names. Well, I'm not really a planner. Whatever. Let's go talk to him.
Yes.
So I'm compelling my I'm not really a planner aspect to prevent my character from doing something that would slow us down.
You know, if your character would otherwise do stuff and try to find things out and whatnot, then I think that might be worth a fate point.
Well, no, I think thank you. I'll pass because I may follow up on this later.
Okay. All right. And yep. And just so we have a name for William's contact, William actually has a contact called Alessandro Spera, who's been kind of brokering glass purchases from the Venetians because you spent the fate point.
Last name again?
Spira, S-P-I-R-A. Yep, a Venetian guy who who essentially takes orders for Murano. Now that England is starting to come out of the Dark Ages and explore the sciences and catch up with magic, alchemy, and just general scientific natural philosophy, there is finally an emerging market for glassware and alchemical equipment. And yeah, this person is by the way, you know, this guy is a little bit, what's the word, stuck up, because every time you talk to him, he is not at all shy about telling you how, until very recently, England was such a dreadfully behind the times backwater that wasn't really worth doing business with. But that's all in the past. That's all in the past. And for negotiations and conversations go from there. Okay. So where do we start?
I'm going to follow the man without a plan.
All right. So, hey, I've got a spell that can help. If Susanna, if you would entrust me with an occult token to you, then I can scry on your conversation. I won't hear it, but I'll see. And then if there should be any, anybody tries to kidnap you or threaten you in any way that we see, then we can come running to your rescue. More to the point, I'll get to see this boy and judge his character by his bearing.
I'm going to go talk to which one then?
Antonio.
Yeah, so we're gonna go together
Okay.
and talk to him.
We'll wait nearby. You can talk to him privately. Oh, William and Susanna were both going to talk to him?
Well, William is the contact.
Great. All right, William. If it's not too much to suggest, perhaps Susanna would like to tag along. If you were to bat your eyelashes at him, he may be more inclined.
That works for me.
All right, William, might I prevail upon you for a hair from your head?
There you go.
Thank you. Okay. And Sarah, what are you going to do while the interview is taking place?
I'm debating. I think I use one of my fern seed potions and slip in behind them invisible. What I want to do is listen for the conversations that are going on behind them. So I want to be in the room or near the room.
Awesome.
In the room if I can, without getting stuck in a doorway or something invisible.
Tell us that you're going to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
What do you think?
He's scared of something that was in a graveyard. So potentially having a ghost moving stuff around could help.
You'll have to let me know what you need.
We'll see if we need to have pressure. Let's see if we need to put some fear into him. Maybe if there is a goblet or a candlestick, just kind of move it. And I will say, that's a nice candlestick. Or that's a nice goblet. And that's what you could move. I don't know. This is new to me. How fun.
It could also be along the lines of have some restless spirits followed you back.
Ooh.
It might give us something to bounce off on. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll know what to do when the moment comes.
Yes.
Yep.
Just make it up as we go along.
Sounds like not a plan.
Awesome.
Okay, we better hurry.
Yes.
We're getting close to curfew.
Yes.
And the nobility and gentlefolk tend to frown upon arriving definitely after curfew.
So I'll follow you. You know where
Yes.
this person would be?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to tag along, but I'll peel off when they get to the house and look for some quiet alley where I can gaze in a crystal and Well, I'll just go ahead and cast it now. I got my new spell, Visions from Afar.
Ooh, we've never used this before. Let's go.
Yeah, this is your classic crystal ball spell. It's the highest degree spell that I have, and the way it works is a spirit actually goes and fetches the visual images and puts them into my crystal ball. So it's like I don't know, it's like a wiretap of visual signals. And well, I'll just cast it. Okay, and I succeeded. It's a fourth. Ooh, I succeeded at a minor cost.
Okay.
So,
a good one, or shall I make it up?
Yeah, I've got a good one, which is I can see but not hear, and the spell is going to end at a certain point that you decide. The spell's going to end prematurely.
Okay, that sounds good.
So for viewers who aren't familiar with Fate, I rolled a result that's not quite enough to cleanly succeed at casting the spell, and that is success at a minor cost. And I just decided my own minor cost, and the GM accepted it. So the spell works for now. The other thing I want to say is that I've got the stunt body language reader, where you can use notice instead of empathy to discover a person's aspects. And I'm just going to be scrying on the scene, and I'm going to be watching on Antonio's body language and trying to figure out his aspects. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. How many aspects can you figure out? Does it specify anything about?
Just one.
Okay. Perfect.
And so let me know when I would have a chance to pick up the aspect. And pretty much I am my character is a spectator for the rest of this.
All right. So you get your crystal ball going and are going to be watching the occurrences for the time being.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and also for the viewers, that's why I got a hair from William's head, and that is going to be magically used up. The hair's still there, but it's no longer going to be magically useful. It's expended after this. So I can't keep casting spells with the same hair.
Okay, so William and the visible and invisible colleagues.
Now,
Pardon?
you want me to roll for the spell now? The firm seed?
Are you going to use it right before you get there, or what's the timeline that you have in mind?
It lasts for a long time.
Okay. All right. Sure, roll now. Why not?
Oh, wait a minute. No, it doesn't necessarily last until the next sunrise or sunset, but we're close to sunset, right?
Yeah, you certainly are.
So,
You may want to wait a bit.
We have to go after.
Okay, so I'm waiting. I'm going to wait. I'm going to find a spot partway there, peel off and hide until sunset, then go and see if I can get into the house.
Do you want to say you're hiding with me and watching through the crystal ball?
Admittedly, since I can't necessarily get in the door with them, I might as well not bother with the fern seed. Just stay with you.
I'll say if anyone stumbles across us, we can just pretend like we were making out.
Not a plan. Listen to this.
So there's a pattern here. Because he wanted to hide something under a pile of straw and then sleep on it.
Hey, I'm getting the picture.
Okay.
So I'm staying back with Harry.
All right. So you're staying back with Harry, and William and Susanna are on their way.
Okay.
probably have to get us in the door.
Right. So we go to the address and knock on the door.
Yep, and it's a large residence. It is yeah, it's a large house. You can tell it's well appointed. It has stables right next to it, and it's a 3-story house, very clean, very modern, um, and yeah, and a very well dressed servant opens the door and asks in heavily accented English, "How can I help you?" And I apologize for the accent in advance. It's probably going to be a combination of Spanish and Eastern European, but
And just to clarify, we've gone to the house of Antonio.
yes.
Okay. So, yes, my colleague and I have been asked to look into the disappearance of Giacomo, and we were wondering if we could call upon you and speak to Antonio for a couple minutes.
Um, please come inside. I will ask the master. And he goes, he leads you inside. It's a very well appointed house. It has paintings on the walls. There are windows. They're glazed, and there is quite a bit of furniture. And he takes you through a courtyard and several hallways into a large sitting room that has a painting of a dark, rather stern-looking woman on the wall with an outdated collar. So you're guessing this is somebody's grandmother, most likely. And yeah, there's a space to sit. There's a carved table that's very pretty. And after a while, you're asked to sit there, and the servant pours you wine and says, "I will tell the master that you are here." And after a few minutes, 2 men come in. One is middle-aged, two a little bit older than middle-aged, with a very well-oiled beard and very nicely dressed, very stately. And with him is an about 17-year-old young man, who is also very well dressed. And I guess as somebody who picks up body language, you can tell that he's very much not in charge here.
Who is the older man or the young man's very
The
much?
younger man, and they both enter the room, and the older man says, "I am Antonio da Ferrara. I am the chief secretary to the well, I'm part of the Italian delegation, and this is my son Antonio. I believe you said you wish to speak to him."
Yes, we do, and we thank you for your time that you are allotting us. We wanted to get a little bit of firsthand information on how Antonio met up with the 2 other boys and what occurred in the cemetery where the disappearance occurred.
Well, you know how it is. Boys will be boys. They went out drinking and then did some stupid things. And, well, Antonio ran into trouble. I mean, Giacomo ran into trouble.
Well, now boys will be boys, but there are reasons for their actions, and we all understand those. But we would love to hear how, I'm going into teacher mode here. Love to hear exact, because they will learn. I need to know the exact timing that you met them. I would love for Antonio to be able to tell me this, and I'm going to look right at Antonio's eyes this is important, and these boys need to be able to help us. You need to help us. This is important, and we need to find Jack.
Okay. So,
Feel kind, but I'm using my teacher voice.
I think it's time for my action with, or my test with notice to read the body language. This is a create an advantage test, and if successful, I discover a relevant aspect about Antonio, and the GM decides which aspect it would be. And I did not roll very well. I'm just checking to see if I can save this. So my notice is fair, +2, and I rolled a -1. So I got a 1, which is squeaked it success. And I don't know what that means on create an advantage. If you tie, which I did,
yeah.
The outcome depends on whether you're using an existing aspect or creating a new one. If it existed, you get a free invocation and reveal it. If you're trying to create an aspect you don't fully succeed, you get a boost instead.
Okay, so you don't quite get an aspect, but you get a boost.
So what I'm trying to discover is an aspect about his relationship with Giacomo. And if he has one, then I get a free invocation of it. So I can find out what it is.
Yeah. You're trying to figure out an aspect that has to do with his relationship to Giacomo.
Yes.
Essentially, the aspect is I actually think you discovered his trouble.
Okay.
Which is that Giacomo's the ringleader and he goes along with it.
Very interesting. Awesome. Great finding.
Yeah,
Thank
along
you.
for the ride, essentially.
Got it. Nice.
Also known as my friend is the coolest guy I know.
Perfect. All right. Carry on, please.
So, yep. So far, he hasn't said a word and his father is talking for him.
Right. But they, Susanna was just telling him this is very important and looking right at it.
Yeah.
The Antonio the Younger's eyes. And kind of, I mean, I understand, and I probably would glance at the father as well, but pushing Antonio a bit, possibly for Harry's benefit, but also because I'm looking to see if he's going to look to his father. Is he more afraid of his father? Is he wanting to help his friend more? I mean, I have perception. I don't know if that would help me get a sense of if I should continue to push or use wiles. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
I think okay, so it's not hard to figure out that the father's in charge here and that Antonio isn't going to say much as long as his father is in the room. Is there anything you want to do or can do to sort the situation so he'll talk?
There's seating here.
Yeah.
I'm going to look to William and kind of nod at the dad, and I'm just going to take the younger Antonio's arm and bring him over to seat. It's like, I can see that this affects you. And just try to get him to go to the seat with me.
He it follows a little bit stiffly because glancing over to his father, you can tell enough to see that he's more concerned about consequences than he is concerned about, the creepy lady asking him to sit or something. So that's not what this is.
I'm able to drag him with me. He is coming. Even though he's that. Okay.
Yeah, although somewhat reluctantly, and his father's kind of frowning a bit. You may have to manage that situation.
I'm going to trust him to manage it because I'm trying to manage Antonio the Younger.
Okay. Is William going to do anything about this?
What could possibly go wrong? Okay.
There you go.
You made it a fate point for this.
Fate point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, take that fate point before you even open your mouth.
You might need it.
Yes, I am going to go and prepare drinks for everyone.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to split Dust of Slumber into Dad's drink.
Oh.
Okay, this I want you to make some kind of dex roll. I don't even care what has to what you have.
Oh dear.
Oh. It's gonna spell it.
Let's see. Can I use anything to help me here?
Yeah.
I look at his face. I'm like, I am not drinking whatever he's pouring.
This is problematic. I got a -3.
You can succeed at a cost.
Yes.
You sure can.
What would the cost be?
Spilling one of the goblets onto the floor.
And not knowing.
Either that or you could accidentally put yourself to sleep as well.
Yeah, I actually like that.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. So do you want to narrate the situation or should I? But if you have great ideas for how this might go off, please do.
Okay, what I do is I go over to the pitcher and try and put myself between the pitcher and the goblets and the three of them. I pour wine into all of the goblets and I trip on the edge of the rug and spill it into 2 of the goblets. And then I turn around and hand the 2 that I know are safe to Suzanne and the younger Antonio. And then I take the other 2 goblets and hand them to Antonio Sr. and myself.
And then Antonio Sr. calls for a toast and you have to drink.
Yes.
Hang on. I'm also going to roll dice. Okay. So hey, Melanie, why don't you roll perception? Sorry, I have to readjust here.
Yeah, so I'm at 0.
You got what?
I'm like at 0. I balance it out.
Okay. So you see, but can't quite figure out what to do about it. Right before the toast.
Oh, what?
The Ferrara Senior actually exchanges the 2 goblets.
But just between
Outsmarted him by accident.
It doesn't matter. Both goblets are problematic, but he doesn't know them.
God.
That's awesome.
The dice are trying to kill us, yes.
I got 2.
Okay.
So I do not succeed.
All right.
I spilled too much of it on the table.
Okay. So, yep. So you both drank to each other's health and to the finding of young Giacomo well and sound and returning him home. And does it work immediately?
Pretty much, yeah.
And you kind of clink cups and you're both getting kind of sleepy. This is a boring conversation. And Antonio looks at the sleeping William and his sleeping father and looks at Sarah at Santa and says, "Have they been poisoned?"
No, I think they probably just had too much wine. We'll make sure they get to a seat. Let them sleep it off, and you and I can talk.
He looks a little bit suspicious.
You think?
Yeah, I'm adding a new aspect for him, and the aspect is, what's going on here?
All right, relax. And I have some folk doctor. I'm a folk doctor, so I will make it look really obvious that I'm checking their pulse and checking their breathing. Oh yeah, they're just sleeping. They'll be fine.
At this point, we're watching through the crystal ball. I'm going to turn to Sarah and say, you might want to get in there.
Oh my goodness. So I'm hoping, I have rapport, I have empathy. I'm hoping I can get him to understand that they're fine. They're just sleeping.
Okay, well, he may be a Venetian and a little bit suspicious, but you managed to talk him down some.
Let's
And
have my spell end at this point.
yeah, end.
Crap.
Yeah, you see William drink, you see the other guy drink, you saw him exchange the goblets before that because you're watching this on TV, so to speak. And next thing you know, they're both passing out. Spell ends.
I'm like, what did I get myself into? But I'm just thinking that. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm just going to chat with Antonio Jr., try to relax, help him relax a little bit and not worry about and then I've worked with teenagers before, so as Melanie, I'm not going to be good at this, but as Susanna, I want to just chat with him and try to build a rapport.
Okay.
Should I roll for rapport?
You know, yes, this is a situation where I think I do want to roll.
Nice. Okay, so I add that to this, right?
Yes.
So 4.
All right. That's a success. Doesn't quite succeed with style because he's a bit spooked.
Yeah.
But it succeeds. And he calms down a little bit, especially after he sees that you're making sure his father's breathing and nobody turns blue and nobody's dead yet. And he says, so you're here about Giacomo?
We are. We're very concerned, especially because of the place he disappeared. So we need to know everything we can because we want to help.
Well, we went to see a play, then we went drinking, then we took one of the wherries back across the river, and we'd had quite a bit to drink, and it seemed like a good idea to go in the cemetery where they put the hanged people. And you know, one of the other guys, Jeff, kept telling Giacomo that he was too chicken to go in, and so of course Giacomo, being a valiant Italian male, could not let that sit, and so he said he was going to go in. So we all went in with him, but he went in the deepest. And we could see him for a while, and then he kept going. And then we sat there, and we were quite drunk. I don't know how long. And then we noticed he wasn't coming back. Yeah.
What did you decide to do?
That was about it.
So then you chose to do what?
Well, we sat there for a while, and then we called him, and there was no answer. And then we went in a little bit further and looked, but we didn't find him.
point separately, or?
Oh, no. We all went back together. Well, I'm not going through that place by myself.
And so where did you go back to, and what did you guys do when you got back?
Well, we stopped by another tavern on our way back because we didn't feel that great. We had another drink and then we went home.
Did you tell anybody what happened when you got home?
Well, we figured he'd come home the next day, but then he didn't. And when he wasn't there the next day, um, I told my father and he told his father. And now I'm not allowed to leave the house.
Can you tell me where you met? Can you tell me where you met Jeffrey and Robert?
Oh, yes, they come here for they came here for fencing practice because we have a really excellent fencing master and he teaches all of us.
So have you known these two boys for a long time?
Well, we've been here for about 2 years. I would say that I've known them for about a year and a half.
And have you guys done pranks and crazy things while drinking before like this?
Well, we've done pranks and crazy things, but not like this.
So this is the first time you've ever been to that cemetery.
Well, yes, it was not the best idea now that I think about it, but we were drunk and it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Okay.
Besides, you can't have some English boy tell an Italian boy that he's a coward.
True. I understand how he felt honor was at stake there.
Exactly. And here, in Italy, you would fight it out. You would pull out rapiers and fight it out, and then whoever wins, wins. And in England, you can't just stab somebody for calling you a coward, so you have to go in the cemetery. It's complicated.
I believe you. Well, I know it's getting late. Can you think of anything else I should know and to help find Giacomo?
I will do that.
Yeah, if you think of anything, please, I'm trying to think what as a character would I know information could get to me? To my family's house, or?
You could give him an address and tell him to send a servant with a note or something.
Okay. And then I'm also going to ask, can you please help me get my friend out the door?
Of course. And he also calls a servant to help haul him.
Sarah stayed with me.
Yes. So what are you two doing? Because you have no idea what's happening.
I am actually, you can decide whether to levy the normal fate point cost or not. I want to cast general divination.
Okay.
To try to figure out, general divination tells you what's important. But as a player, what I'm trying to do is to find our way to the next interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ask a specific question with general divination, but I want to know. I want to know where to go next.
Okay.
So I'm spending it, and that just works.
Yep.
You don't roll dice for it.
Yep.
It takes 10 minutes. So what it looks like is I'm here in this alleyway, and I start burning, I was going to say incense. Yeah, I burn some incense and stuff, and then I throw a bunch of dry leaves and rope shards in it. It smells really bad. And I'm reading the whirls of smoke that come up.
Okay. Yep. You get the sense that, You're at the crossroads, but the paths all lead to the same place.
How close were we? Like, if I go around the corner, can I see the front door of the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
you're about half a block away.
okay. So while Harry's working, then I'm someplace where I can see the front door. If I see somebody come out the front door lugging William, I'm gonna go help.
Okay. Yep. You well, yeah, they asked do you need a coach or do you need a carriage or
I need a coach. I had some friends who were supposed to meet me later. Let me just see if I can see them. So I'm gonna look and see if are we at the door, out the door, like going.
yeah, now you are because you said you don't need the coach. So him and the servant essentially haul the and this is a situation where essentially it's one man to the left, one man to the right, him in the middle with his arms slung over the shoulders of each of them and feet dragging while he snores and drools a little bit. So he looks like he is well into alcohol poisoning territory. And yep, the door opens and you look around and
I see Sarah coming. I'm going to see if the two of us could manage him before I say yes to a coach.
how heavy is how big a man is William?
William is not a big man. I would say he's like 5'8", about 140, 150 pounds.
Okay, well, 150 pounds of dead weight is not a lot, especially not two ladies.
Yeah.
And Antonia says, well, I'm not allowed to leave the house and I will catch hell if I do.
Well, and I don't want you to disobey here.
But I cannot leave you ladies to haul this drunken lout by yourself either.
I know. I'm thinking, where is Harry?
Yeah, is Harry going to show up or are they going to have to?
Well, when I'm done with my general divination, it takes 10 minutes.
Okay. So it takes a while. You're standing by the door debating.
Was he starting when he couldn't see anymore, or when you just let time pass?
Yeah, when did he start?
Well, I started a few minutes after the spell ended because I was a little curious as to whether there were any omens of imminent death, or imprisonment. So,
But just for storyline, I would say it took me 5 minutes to check their vitals, and 5 minutes to chat.
So I'm showing up around now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, here's my other friend.
Oh, look at this. He must have been quite drunk when he got in.
I think so.
Well, Antonia said,
All right.
my father was quite sober. I don't understand what happened. I will have to check to make sure none of the servants was in the pay of any of our enemies and poisoned them.
It didn't look like poison to me. It looked like fatigue mixed with maybe too much alcohol.
Maybe
In my professional opinion.
maybe they got the wrong bottle. Brandy instead of wine, something like that.
He nods sagely and says, oh yeah, that can happen. That can happen. Yeah, some of the grappa has quite the kick to it.
I'm not going to point out that we all drank the same thing.
I'm just going to try to get him away from here, quickly now.
Thank you, Antonio. I hope we can find him, and we'll let you know if we do, and you'll probably find out. Thank you for your help tonight.
Thank you for looking for my friend. If I can do anything, let me know.
All right.
So I'm gonna try shaking William to see if I can wake him.
Does that work? How deeply do you sleep with that thing?
Shaking should be enough to. Go ahead, Dave.
Shaking or prodding is necessary to wake me up.
Okay. So by now he's awake. He's just groggy.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, groggy boy.
This is usually how these things go.
How? What we? I
I tripped on the carpet.
You dosed both goblets, and then he switched them. What's up with that?
He's paranoid. It worked out for the best.
You outsmarted him, kind of. Let's go. All right.
But I think I got some good information. And
I think you did too. After you.
from what I can tell, he is very sincere.
Yep. So we're gonna have to huddle up in a pub or something to compare notes or to get debriefed. So
nearby, there. Well, let's say there's the Rose and Anchor. There you go. It's nearby.
very good. Well, after we're briefed on how the conversation went, I will point out.
We've done all of this.
Yeah, I will point out that Antonio follows Giacomo's lead. He's a bit of I don't know, how shall I say it. He admires Giacomo a lot and looks up to him and follows his lead. It's not really clear whether those two English boys had any bad intent, but I also don't think it matters because of magic. I consulted with the spirits, and here are the signs, and I give you, some occult jargon stuff, but what it boils down to is we're at a crossroads, but all the roads lead to the same place. So I'm not really a planner. It makes sense I would want to go straight to the cemetery after this.
I also think he knew these kids for a long time. If he'd known these kids for a year and a half and their parents were trying to get him killed, it had a year and a half to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think the two boys are likely to be responsible. I think it's more likely something in the cemetery.
Yep. Let's go find it.
And without a plan, just relax a minute. I don't always have a plan, but it's a cemetery. I think we could do some prep work here.
Preparation is not the same as planning. If I could prepare, I sure would.
Sorry, I'm still getting used to these spells. Give me a moment. Not knowing the cemetery too. I mean, when we get there, I can do something.
Oh, I can tell you all about the cemetery.
Okay, tell me.
Because my character has the stunt oral historian, so I get +2 to Arcana tests related to legendary locations, places, and events, and my Arcana is good.
Awesome.
So that brings it up to superb.
Nice.
I can tell you stories. Let me put it to the GM. Is there a reason to believe that there could be dangerous hauntings in that cemetery?
Well, yeah.
Okay then.
I mean, this is where they, bury people who are criminals, people who are, who have been hanged, people who are outside of, communion in some way, whether they are prostitutes or.
Awesome. So they've got excommunicates
Yep,
buried in the cemetery.
sure do.
Best one by far to go into.
For them or for us?
I was being completely facetious. It's not good for anybody. This is just a bad idea for that cemetery to exist.
Yeah.
We're going to have some strong words with the two English boys after we're done with this, after we find what's left of Jacques.
What is the way to get there? What do we need to do to get there? Is it walk?
Oh, we just need to get across the river.
Actually, it's on this side of the river. They were coming back from Southwark. So the North Bank is where people from London grab a wherry, cross the river, go to Southwark for either going to the stews, going drinking, or going to see a play. And then they take the wherries back.
So Southwark is like the Las Vegas of London this time.
Yes.
And they were on their way back. So they were already back. They were already back on the North Bank.
Yes.
So there's a menace inside London that made a diplomatic incident by making a Italian boy disappear.
I want to use a fate point to say that I already have a amulet against curses that I've been wearing that hasn't been used up yet. But I want to, while we're chatting and they're talking about the cemetery, make one for one of these guys.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
So I only can make one if we're going to go. So I will ask who thinks it would be best to have if you don't have something to help against spirits maybe cursing us to get lost in the cemetery too.
Yeah, that's not my wheelhouse.
Yeah, let's set William up with that.
All right, so I will give it to William.
Okay.
And then I can create wards and check spirits that are haunting, but I think I need to be there to do it.
Question, do we want to do this at sunset? Which is about when it is now.
Yep, pretty much. Well, sun has set. It's dark now.
Yeah, we want to do this in the dark.
Yeah, because they're not going to the malevolent. I don't think the malevolent spirits will come out during the daytime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is intense.
We want to go find him. You could just call it right up, couldn't you? Sorry, my character wouldn't know that, but Melanie.
Spirits up, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'm glad I don't have that spell. Let's go.
If we see, hear, feel, if I see or feel someone there, I can maybe even question one.
Wow.
Yeah. One of these days I'm going to have to remember to get a real weapon. Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Okay. So
give me a second. I want to look up one of my spells.
Sure.
This is just to show off mostly. Yeah, it doesn't take an occult token. So I can send the library angel. All right, so I've got a spell, sending the library angel. And what it can do is it can take a quote from some printed text and it can whisper it in the ear of a person that I designate.
Yeah.
As long as I unambiguously identify the person, it can do this over a range of, it doesn't say. I would have to, oh, it's unlimited. Oh, crap. Oh no, I need to spend an occult token. I don't have one. Never mind. I can't use this.
Okay.
But I will point out, hey, do we want to just share occult tokens all around?
Yeah,
Probably.
All right. So I'm not really a planner. I'm going to tear the fly leaf off my Bible, right? Tear it into strips. Anybody got anything to write with, or am I going to use my blood? Okay, blood it is. So I'm making little labels with people's initials out of my
After
blood.
ripping a page out of his Bible,
Yeah.
his blood, even for other wizards, this looks a little bit off.
And this isn't even magic. This is just to keep the occult tokens organized so I don't cast my spell on the wrong person. Right. But then, like, I've done W for William, right? And then I do S for Susanna, and I get to Sarah, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Essay. Words are. Oh.
All right, I need more blood.
So what occult token are we giving you?
Hair. For me, here, have some blood. I got this little scrap of paper with my blood on it. Like, you'll know this is mine. Here you go.
Dot.
I'm thinking, what? I.
You realize why you usually work alone.
Yeah. No, this is a good idea. Really, it is.
I'm
think-
going to believe you.
I think this will work. At least we have the occult tokens now.
Yeah.
Okay. You do have the occult tokens, and you can. Yep. Anything else you want to do before you go to the cemetery?
I think I've done enough.
Anyone in this pub who might have overlooked and seen us are wondering what's going on.
You know, actually, for doing that sort of thing in a pub, stabbing yourself in the finger and scribbling on a Bible flyleaf in your blood,
Yeah.
I feel like there should be some kind of rule involved here.
Maybe I should get a fate point for doing that.
Yeah, I actually think you should.
All right. And, well, what do we get thrown out? Or?
Yes.
All right.
That's what I was thinking.
Enough of that nonsense here.
Yes, you get thrown out.
All right.
Customers.
Do we also get a don't come back?
Yes.
I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Get out of here. Don't come back. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Is that like an aspect or something?
More like, freaking, they're not really, and as you leave, there's a conversation in the background trying to figure out whether you're Jews, papists, heretics, or devil worshippers. And people can't quite make up their mind because they're too drunk, but the consensus is you're not welcome.
Yep.
The day you got kicked out of the pub. It happens. Okay. So you're on your way to the cemetery.
On the way, I'll say, we need a wizard hideout or headquarters where we can have wizard meetings and do stuff without getting kicked out. The magic
A
stuff.
lot of family members at my place.
My shop.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll do that next time, and then I won't be writing. You probably have pen and ink in your shop.
And a lot of other chemicals as well.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
And I'm frightened.
Splendid.
All right, next meeting at the alchemist's place. All right. So you're on your way to the cemetery. It is dark, and you have to be kind of careful because it's after curfew, and you don't want to get the ladies don't want to get picked up for prostitution, and the gentlemen don't want to get picked up for probably trying to either burglarize places or steal things through the window.
I would never burglarize a place.
Nope, didn't even occur. So, yep, you know the way to that cemetery because you have a bit of the local historian thing going.
I do.
And the second the boys started talking about it, you figured out that this was probably the place, and sure was, and you know how to get there. So you get there, and it's dark. There are gates around this. They're iron gates, and they're closed. And they put a fence around this place, whether to keep people out or something else in, you're not sure.
Fence, no problem. How high is the fence?
It's about 10 feet high,
All right.
spikes on top.
William and Sarah, you've seen me do this before. I can levitate you up to the top of the fence. You'd step off onto the fence, take the next step, and I levitate you down.
Okay.
Hey, love it.
All right. Who's first?
I'll go first.
I'd like to see this in action.
Okay. I rolled a 4. It's a degree 2, so I succeed, but not with style.
Okay, well, that's good enough to get them across the fence without impaling them.
Yep. And I can do this for everybody, including myself. I'll go last.
And it's really not fun to roll for everybody.
Right.
So I'm not going to have you roll for everybody. I figure it's good enough. It worked. We can live with that. So you are now in a creepy cemetery.
After we're all in, I'll say, now I've got another spell that I could cast, but it would involve drawing a pentagram and lighting a bunch of candles and chanting. So let's not rush into that.
Let's keep that in our back pocket.
Yeah.
With me, that's something I could do, but yeah.
Just to be clear, how long would it take you to cast that?
Well, let me see. Probably 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I don't know the area of effect, but I can do a sense of the spiritual vibrations right now and just see any strong supernatural presence in the vicinity. See if there is one.
Well, you don't actually see it, but you feel it.
I can feel if there is one, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How long does that thing take to cast?
A minute.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. And you cast it, and
For activation, I pay a fate point.
yep, that's to prevent you from casting it over and over and over and over. Yep. Okay, so you do that, and yep, sure enough, you feel that. What does it say exactly? Do you get number of presences? Do you get?
It will indicate whether a spirit haunts a place and can reveal other magically charged facts as well, such as that a murder recently took place, or whether the place is an ancient pagan holy site. And you, as the GM, can control what information we learn.
So there is at least one spirit around here. There are other questionable vibrations going on as well. This is a place that has fairly negative associations to it. People get buried here for all sorts of reasons, and it's not a comfortable place. and there's you sense a fairly strong spiritual vibration somewhere.
I sense.
Would this give direction?
I don't know.
Well, you
Maybe
can
it's
sense
big-
that you can sense that there's there's a strong spiritual vibration. It's coming from deeper in the cemetery. You can't tell exactly where, but you can tell it's in there, and you'll have to go further in to go towards it.
Hey.
Okay. Well, I want to go towards it. If I can cast a ward, and then I could conjure it.
Okay.
My plan. I would cast a word where I feel it's I don't know.
Oh, you cut out. Can you say that again? You cut out for some reason.
Sorry. I could possibly cast a ward around where I feel the strongest part of that vibration, and then I could possibly conjure it to talk to it. That would be my confirmation. Thinking something else.
Okay.
Before you do that, I think my spell would be helpful.
Okay.
My spell is a divination about the past. There are strong spirits in this place, and I can speak to them and find out what important event happened, and maybe we'll learn whether it's dangerous to do what you proposed or not. What do you think?
Sure. I mean, we're here. We have the time, I think.
All right. Well, let's go deeper in first, so we can get closer to where it's happening. Sure.
That's a good idea at the time. Yes, you go further in.
Here, this sounds like it'll work fine.
I need an aspect for my character, something like something. I mean, it's too broad to invoke, but I don't. Every obstacle can be worked around. But I'm not going to record that yet because it's not well thought out and designed as an aspect. But I'm noticing that this is a guy who is I'm just kind of fearless. I mean, I'm no, not fearless, just brave. There's the aspect. Not fearless, just brave.
Ah,
Okay.
There you go.
All right, that works. So, yep. So you are headed further into the cemetery, and it's actually quite big. I mean, London is not a small city at all. It's the biggest city around, and it has a lot of dead. A lot of crime happens in London, and yeah, you have to put people somewhere. Now, as you move more towards the center, you notice that there are also some, shall we say, more opulent looking graves. It looks like this started out as a fairly upscale cemetery and then went downhill as time went on. And you are finding you can keep going for quite a bit. Parts of it are overgrown. This is not a place where loving relatives come to tend to the graves and plant roses and all of that. It's you see headstones sticking out and obliterated by time. You see vines all over the place. In fact, a couple times you almost trip over vegetation that has grown across the path. But your sense of the strong spiritual vibration draws you more towards the center of this place. And you see a collection of maybe 6 or 7 crypts that look like they were something once, but no longer really are. And 2 of them in particular look like they're still in pretty good shape for having been there a while. You would guess that the vegetation around them was last removed maybe 10 years ago. It doesn't have trees growing through it.
This is a good spot. So here's the spell, and this requires me to spend a fate point. The wizard consults the spiritual forces at their command to learn something about the history of the place they are in or of some significant item. The GM chooses what, if any, information to reveal. And it takes 10 minutes. And for me, since it's sorcery, I'm talking pentagram and candles and chanting.
Yard.
Yep.
You are in a
Let's just hope I don't succeed at a cost. Nailed it. I got a clean success, 5, and it's a 4th degree spell, so I'm good.
Okay, great. So what you learn is, well, what you realize is this place used to be a place where several of the better off families were burying their dead, not the, the high nobility or anything like that by any stretch, but they were well-to-do people, some of them with some court connections even. And then the city grew and people moved around, and this became a place that was too close to Southwark for the nobility to really want to be buried, even if they were low nobles, and they left. The 2 tombs that you're standing in front of belong to families that are still around and still have descendants. And yeah, it looks like at least some of their people got buried there recently, as recently as about 10 years ago by the looks of it. For spirits, this place is said to be haunted because they do, among other things, hang some murderers there and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's known. The reason they went in here on a dare is not just it's on the way back from Southwark. It's known to be haunted, and especially young people tell each other stories about this.
I feel like I got a good return on my fate point invested. Thank you.
Yep.
Not to steal the show or anything, but I've got another spell.
Okay, go ahead.
That is worth casting. It's numbering the secret council. I send a spirit into one of the mausolea to count the mortal living creatures inside and report back.
Okay.
Okay. This time I rolled success at a minor cost, and the minor cost is the spirit will go into the first tomb, but it refuses to do it again.
It goes in the first tomb.
Yeah.
It reports back that there are really nasty, small, furry people in there.
Okay.
And it doesn't want to go back in because the stench of death is just too overpowering, and it's awful in there, and I'm not going.
I'll say it's too creepy for my spirits in there, just so you know.
Oh.
Does anybody have a light source? This could be a short exploration. Because I'm not keen on going in there. All right.
Well, this was investigative.
Mr. Alchemist.
Yes.
Do you have, I can light a spark if you have something that can, I don't know, some bitumen or
Hold on a second.
pitch or
Let me.
just talking about jerry rigging a torch?
Wait a minute. I've got a spell that will work. Burning water.
Ha! All right, so tell us what it's like.
Burning water, it's a liquid that burns brightly but won't ignite anything else.
Awesome.
So I'm going to cast this to give us a light source. And let's see. Wow.
You rolled really bad.
Yes, but I succeed.
All right then.
Okay, you have a light source. Okay, and you're standing in front of two crypts. What do you want to do about it?
Do we want to go in there, or do we want to call the spirit out like Susanna said into a ward? Actually,
Well, and your history doesn't say much about, I mean, it says about people, but my conjuration of a spirit is more, it's for non-humans. So I didn't know if there'd be something here that was,
so you don't do ghosts.
yeah, I might not just, I could exercise maybe if it's a human ghost. But.
Now, tell me about this ward. Can you set it up and leave it here so we could come running, screaming back and stand in it?
I am looking it up now. Just for a lot more information. It's on a lot of lists. Sorry. All right. An immobile magical barrier attempts to keep a specific spirit in or out. You could have a word to keep it out.
You said a specific spirit?
Yeah, we need to identify it.
That'd be too late.
I have second sight, which
Oh my
is
gosh.
an additional, like a +2 to, or plus something to identify a spirit, but I don't quite understand the mechanics for identifying a spirit to start with.
So
It's
I
usually
think
that.
one thing to say in this context is that there's spirits and then there's ghosts, and the thing to know about ghosts is they're corporeal, and your characters would know this.
So ghosts have a body.
Ghosts have a body. They're not just stuff that floats around and looks like mist and goes through you and you go burr. They actually have bodies.
Okay.
What skill would you use to identify a ghost or a spirit?
Arcana.
All of us are pretty good at that. I'm good, but I'm at good for Arcana. So did you say what the spirit says about little furry bodies, small furry people?
I think
Yeah,
it's
it
rats.
Oh,
sounds like rats.
okay.
Sure does.
Well, standing here is not doing us any good.
Yeah. Which one do?
Want to do?
Akamo isn't in the one with the rats.
Right.
Great point.
We know which one. If he's in one or the other, we know which one.
Maybe.
Well,
If he's in one or the other.
if he's alive. So I agree. Let's go to the one that I didn't check.
Okay.
Okay. So, yep. You want to go in the one that you didn't check. It has a wrought iron door. It's made out of stone. It's about hip high, and there are stairs that lead down.
Ew.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lock. It seems to be locked with a key.
Huh.
But can somebody make a perception roll of some sort just because
Yep.
Yeah, I can.
we haven't rolled any dice in a while?
Nope.
I'm just at 2.
Nice.
Yeah, you have a light. It doesn't take much, but you see footsteps going in there. You see bare feet and shoes.
I know my
Yikes.
are a whole lot scarier than shoes.
Yikes.
Fancy tricks for unlocking locks.
Well, as a matter of fact, I once had some drinks with a locksmith and he explained some basics of burglary.
Good to know.
All right. And I'm going to invoke at home with the lower class. Actually, if I need to. I rolled a 1, which would be marginal success for anything. So I'm going to invoke at home with the lower class as an aspect to give me +2, bring my
Okay.
total to 3.
Yep, it's a bit unusual, but I'll let that go. And yeah, so you've opened the door.
All right, then. I'll go
Yeah.
through it. Because I'm not fearless, just brave.
Yeah, by the way, this place deserves an aspect of creepy old cemetery because it just is.
It really does.
Yeah. Okay.
At dark. In the dark. Creepy old cemetery. In the dark.
So, Vesna, it's your call. I just compelled not fearless, just brave by choosing to go in first without any discussion or having anybody cast protective spells on me. Is that worth a fate point or not?
You know, it is.
Only if it makes the story better. That's the rule of thumb.
I think it does.
Okay.
Because so you are the first person to go in. You are not the person carrying the light.
No.
And
I see him heading down. And what could possibly go wrong?
there you go. Yeah, I think that is worth an aspect because, yeah, you could be the person, you could wait, but no.
Mhm.
Okay, so you go downstairs and first.
So the two people who are defenseless against spirits are going down there. Fist bump. All right. I'm not totally defenseless, just mostly defenseless.
Yep. And what you see as you come downstairs is this is an old family crypt.
Mm-hmm.
And there is standing room. This is a fairly decent sized room. Actually, it's significantly bigger down here than it was upstairs. And there are doors, gate-like things behind which there are sarcophagi. Some of them are wrought iron. Some of them are full iron doors. And there's about it's kind of a semicircular chamber, and you see about 10 of those. And you also see a figure standing there in the towards the end, and it's the figure of a young woman with sunken-in cheeks and long flowing blonde hair that's kind of straw-like, but somehow still wafts around her. And she's barefoot and wearing a white shift, and she's looking right at you. And looking not too pleased.
Right.
Oh dear.
Do I feel like I'm in the presence of whatever vibration I was feeling?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm going to walk right behind the light carrier, I think.
Oh yeah, you're in the presence of the vibration.
Okay, if I hear her coming in, I think to myself, oh, good, I don't have to do talking.
Ooh. Oh. Well, I have, so Arcana, would that tell me what this is?
Yeah, it would. And you don't have to roll. It's a freaking ghost.
Okay.
And you,
What ghost, what category, I don't know, it might seem like a silly question. What category does that fall in? It's not like Fae.
no, it's a ghost.
Ghost.
And you get just pretty strong, she's emotionally unstable vibes, to put it politely.
Okay. Well, and she's just looking at us?
Glaring.
She's glaring and kind of coming towards you.
Okay.
I'm coming. Wait, what? All right, I'm just going to keep some distance here.
I just gently hold a hand in front of me and say, hello, we don't mean to disturb you. We are trying to find a lost young man. Is there something I can do to help you?
You will not take my Johnny away from me.
Can you tell me about Johnny?
You will not take my Johnny away from me.
Okay, I'm going to try one more. Is Johnny here?
And he's staying here. We were separated once, and we will never be separated again. He's my true love. I died for this.
I don't think we can talk sense into her.
That's what I was trying.
Just saying.
I was trying to get. Okay. Well.
Well.
Let me look something up quick. It might be like right time for an exorcism.
Okay. All right. You want to exorcise a ghost?
I might, yes.
Yeah.
I've identified the spirit. I know what it wants.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. Well, is it assumed that I have some of these things because I can do these things? So like I would have a cross on me?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
you have your exorcism kit.
Yes. So I am, there we go. It just like says, what, you start casting. I just start casting.
Okay.
Overcome 3.
Okay.
So is that my theurgy? Do I use,
Yeah.
I've not done this before. So is that my theurgy I roll?
Yep, that's your theurgy.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm at 4.
All right. That's what you need. That's a clean success.
Yeah. So how exactly, I am not 100% sure how exorcism works. Does she just go away or does it do damage?
Oh, there's
attack.
a lot more to it than that. It becomes a whole scene.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that.
All right. So I'll just read you the highlights. When the wizard casts Rite of Exorcism, they identify a spirit in the same zone as themselves. That one right there. It works on any spirit, whether it's corporeal or not, whether it's evil or not.
Okay.
If it succeeds, the caster initiates a conflict with the spirit.
Okay.
The conflict is slow-paced but intense. It's a test of endurance as much as strength. The 1973 movie The Exorcist is a perfect illustration of how Magonomia imagines the spell in action against a really nasty spirit.
Okay.
The time scale of the conflict is 1 hour per exchange. So it's like normal combat, slowed down to 1 hour per turn. The caster acts first unless they succeeded at a cost when casting.
Okay, nope, you act first because you didn't succeed at a cost.
So you can use the spell's potency, which is your theurgy skill, to attack the spirit against. Actually, you can use it in this fight in any of the ways. You can use it to attack, to defend. You can't use it to overcome. Overcome doesn't do anything in an exorcism. Or you can create an advantage. Nope, you can use other skills. So basically, you are performing the rite of exorcism and directly attacking the spirit. I want to keep it off you physically, so I think I'm gonna, do that. I'll try to physically defend Susanna if the spirit attacks her.
Okay, so what happens is she starts casting.
Yep.
And the second the spirit realizes something is going on,
Yep.
she starts coming towards her.
Yep.
Really meaning Susanna L.
Yeah.
Claws out and shrieking.
Claws.
And essentially she's physically trying to attack, and you're interposing yourself in a fight with a spirit.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay. So she rolled a 4 attack.
Well, in this conflict, the caster of exorcism goes first.
Yeah.
So I believe Susanna gets to attack first.
Okay, yes. Susanna gets to attack first. Yep.
It's a mental attack versus will.
Okay.
I roll theurgy again?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I rolled theurgy first to be able to go first.
Right.
Now I roll it again as an attack.
Correct.
Okay. Oh. 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So she got a 2.
Ah!
This round she doesn't take any damage.
And now she's coming right at you.
She's coming right at Susanna. You interpose yourself. And yeah.
Wow. I rolled really well. My fighting roll, I rolled a +2, so my fighting is only 1, so I got 3.
Okay, you beat her by 1.
Sweet. You're safe. So for an hour, I am holding this shrieking spirit with her claws off of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
Everybody else doing while this is going on.
running? No.
I'm wondering, is there some place she could have him hidden? Like, is there some?
There's tons of doors behind you. There's like 10 of them. Some of them, at least 4 of them though, are bars, and you can see through, and you just see sarcophagi. You don't see any people. But there's another 6 doors that could technically be,
I see
yours.
what you're doing, and I follow you.
Which is there a door that's closest to where she was? Like, was it a door that was right behind her when we first saw her?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to check. I want to work my way toward that one.
Okay.
And I follow Sarah.
Okay.
All right.
That's what. Yep. And this doesn't take an hour. Yeah, you make your way back there. She is. I am going to roll to see if she's distracted enough. Yeah, she's distracted by the other 2, so she doesn't notice that you're making your way towards that door. So you get there, and even though it's technically a different pace, I will just say, okay, next round, because that it's easier that way and it works better.
Okay.
Okay, so what is Susanna doing?
So I will attack again.
Okay.
Come on, I know, be nice to us.
Better.
Yes, so let me figure this out. 3.
Okay, you beat her by 2.
Yes!
Yay!
Yep.
2 points of mental stress.
Yep. So that is pretty much 2 points of mental stress that she takes. And she recoils. This round, she doesn't attack you because she's struggling with the mental stress of the situation. I mean, actually, she could rip you a new one, but
The turn length is an hour, so I don't know if she's going to recoil for an hour.
yeah, she's gonna try to rip you a new one.
All right, I'm going to continue to be the one who's going to take the ripping. Because in Fate, you can do that. You can use your action to defend somebody else. And that's what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Okay, what did you get?
Well, I got a 2.
Okay, you actually succeeded with style.
Really?
Yes, you rolled cheese.
Awesome. Let's just say for narrative purposes that I've wrestled her to the ground and pinned her, and you can sprinkle holy water right on her. You get a
All right.
boost to your next attack.
Awesome, we can do this. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. In the meantime, you guys are in front of this door, which is locked. What are you doing?
I'm going to use Aqua Regina on the lock.
Nice.
All right, melt that lock.
And that costs a fate point to use it. And I got a 6.
Oh,
Wow.
that you surgically melt off exactly the lock, and the door creaks open slightly, and you hear some whimpering behind the door.
And I go, Giacomo,
Yeah.
we're here to save you.
Is that crazy dead chick still out there?
At the moment, yes, but my friends are working to rectify that situation.
She's nuts, man. She's nuts.
Did you come out?
No,
All right.
not coming out.
Yes.
How much space is there in there? Can I squeeze in?
Yeah, there's place, it's space. There's like a, it's like a 6 foot by 5 foot room. You can squeeze in, and there's the sarcophagus, but it's old and not very big. And he's cowering in the corner, looking all bedraggled and like he hasn't had anything to eat or drink in 2 days. Like, I'll never do this again. Oh. Okay. Next round. Time for attack.
Okay, next one I have to roll an attack again.
Yep.
Yeah, but you have the option. You have a boost. You can use it now, +2. Roll first because.
I did.
Oh, all right.
It's not great.
No, not horrible.
So yeah, I would love to use the +2 boost, and it gives me a 4.
Yeah. Gives you a 4.
Yeah, because I have a 4 and I lost 2.
Yeah, the dice are trying to kill us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Four.
What's the total?
4.
Okay, so she actually rolled pretty well, but she still takes 1 1 point of stress.
Okay.
You didn't quite hit her with the holy water as fully as you wanted to, but you managed to spray some on her.
Yeah, and that's the point where she kicks out, and
Yep,
it's
exactly.
her turn. Yeah.
Exactly. You're kind of pinning her, and her knee is going up in the direction of your nether regions.
I can't hold this, and there it goes.
Okay, she rolled really well.
Not good. All right, well, I'm going to take one for the team here.
Or not?
All right. Well, I got a 2,
Okay.
so there you go.
Yeah, she got a 4, so.
So I take 2 points of physical stress.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm getting scuffed and beat up. My clothes are torn, and my face is scratched, bloody.
Yep. You look a fright.
And I'm all covered with
He's wrestling a ghost.
Yep.
I'm all covered with dirt from the mausoleum floor.
Yep. And you smell like frickin' death.
Yep. Yep. I've been wrestling for 3 hours with this.
Okay, what's the other button? What are the two in the inside the tomb doing with Giacomo?
Curiosity question. Do I know, or could I find out whether ghosts can see things that are invisible?
No, they can't. You're pretty sure they can't.
Okay, I'm going to do the fern seed oil on Giacomo.
Okay.
If I can get Giacomo out, I'm going to tell him he's invisible. She can't see you. Come on, get out now. See what he does.
Do you have any sort of social skill that you can use?
How about will?
Sure. That works. His will isn't that great right now.
Yeah, will.
And I also have strength through determination, physique instead of strength on an overcome versus strength test. So I'm going to haul him to his feet.
Yep, he's weak and hasn't eaten in days. Yeah, you managed to haul him to his feet. And yeah, make a will test just because.
I'm at 2.
Okay, so you succeed with style with a 2. He is exhausted mentally and physically after several days, and he lets you essentially badger him into coming along and following you out the door. So this round you're managing to get him out into the mausoleum proper. And yeah, he's pretty horrified to see the ghost on the floor wrestling with a bunch of wizards. At which point, Susanna gets to do her thing.
Okay, come on. We've got to roll good again sometime, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Ah!
But not this time.
2.
What'd you get to?
I got 2.
That could be success at a minor cost if you want it to be. So you tied.
Tie means you get a boost to your next attack.
Yeah, that's right. Boost to your next attack. Yeah, you're dangling your crucifix in front of her face. And
Like still, but I get a boost next?
yes, next round you get a boost.
Okay.
So
we could concede the conflict at this point and escape.
Well, he's out into the mausoleum proper, right? But he's not outside.
But I don't want her to do this again.
As you wish.
okay.
I'm sorry. I will try to.
All right. I am not fearless, just brave. So I'm gonna not concede the conflict.
Okay.
All right.
I want to hand my burning water off to Sarah. Oh, I can't.
You guys need it. Is there any moonlight? If I can get him out the door, can we stumble our way out?
Yeah, it'll be creepy as all get out, but you can probably find your way out. Okay, so what is what's happening with the physical altercation with the ghost?
Well, I am still trying to keep the ghost off of Susanna.
Yep.
It's getting harder.
Yep. He's flailing to evade the crucifix, but you're hitting her.
Gonna point out that she doesn't get tired, but it's been 4 hours.
Yeah.
I was going to go in to help.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you make a roll and see how it goes?
Yeah. All right. Oh, defense, got it. Yeah, you see, there's the thing, right? I got a 0.
She gets a boost on her next attack.
Okay.
She also rolled a 0.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to use another potion of burning water to
Okay.
fire it right in her face to blind her.
Ooh, that sounds like create an advantage.
Yeah, sure does. I'd like to roll for that.
I got a 4.
Ooh, you did.
Yeah, that sure works. Yeah. So well, actually, you got a 4. That's pretty darn good. That's yeah, it worked.
Cool. So what that does, I mean, the GM decides exactly, but you're not super familiar with create an advantage, are you, Vesna?
No, I haven't used it in a bit.
Okay. That creates a situational aspect with a free invocation, and it's something simple like blinded by burning water.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, my eyes are on fire. Yeah.
So that's pretty freaky because she's got burning water on her face.
Yep.
I probably got some on me too. And we're just flaming, rolling around in the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, your pants are on fire. She's screaming, screeching.
I'm saying, is there an end game here?
I'm trying to get her out of here.
Okay.
All right.
Next round, where Susanna gets to try to beat up the spirit again.
Come on. Like, I need all pluses. Come on.
You've got 2 boosts now.
Oh, right.
Yes.
And I have a boost, so that's a +2 to whatever I roll.
So this should help.
I'm gonna need it. All right. So that's so 4.
Okay, she had a -1. You frickin' smoked the spirit.
Yes.
Yes.
Essentially, how the animating thing that turned her into this dreadful, flailing monstrosity almost evaporates out of her, and it turns her body into a limp form that just kind of sags in on itself in her shift, and she stops struggling and just lies there dead now.
Face burning watered.
Yeah, and her eyes are still smoldering a bit.
Let's leave.
Well, I think I personally, I know you're the one fighting, but there's crypt rooms here, and the one that they just, I'm gonna drag her into that crypt room and close the door, just because I think that's a little more respectful, and I might want to
Yeah,
follow.
all right, I'll help you with that.
Okay.
I will too.
Okay.
I'm afraid to say this, Susanna, but do you want to check for more spiritual vibrations?
Yeah.
Want to? Not really, but
Yes. Is that the one that did a fate point? Yes. I can. So I will. Well, it's a 2.
Okay. You mean you do sense some other things, but none of them are as strong as this, even remotely. There's some disturbance around here.
But none are as strong.
No.
I'll call that we're done.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I call that victory. As a matter of fact, that's victory.
I have folk doctor. Is there something I can do for Harry?
Oh no, I'm gonna be fine. I just need, and I will. I just need a minute to rest, and then at the end of the scene, my stress recovers. I mean, I need a new suit, but yeah, I'm fine. I
I suggest we leave.
bet you Giacomo has some old clothes
Oh, yes.
that are maybe out of fashion. And the reason my character is making a big deal out of this is clothes are super expensive in Renaissance Europe.
Yep. Oh, he says, yes, yeah, I have many clothes that I can no longer wear to the fancy things, and you can have them all.
Oh, thank you.
Here.
Wow.
And take the Lamborghini too.
What was that? I don't know that word.
Like, take whatever you need. Let's just get out of here.
Oh, yes. We're getting out of here.
And that thing was crazy.
William, I think that maybe we should have a different way out of this gated cemetery than the way we got in.
Yes.
Oh, wait. I'll do it. Let me try the lock. Just hold the light, would you? All right. I'm going to succeed at a cost.
Okay. Yep, you're a bit bedraggled and not quite with it, so yes.
And the cost is that Antonio thinks that I am a ne'er-do-well because he saw me pick a lock.
Okay. Yeah. Giacomo thinks you're a thief.
Yeah, Giacomo, sorry. Yeah, so Giacomo cools off pretty fast after we get him out of here. To me.
Yeah, he does. You're clearly, yeah.
And I don't get half his wardrobe given to me.
No, you don't get half his wardrobe. He does give you, he will end up giving you some stuff because he can't not.
Right.
He would be ungrateful, but yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mission accomplished. That was a very nice session of Magonomia. Thank you, Vesna, and everybody for playing.
Yeah. Thank you. And the timing worked out pretty well.
I think it did.
Get him home safely and all's good with the world.
Yeah, is there a denouement or are we all set?
Well, there is some denouement to this, which is his father is very happy to see him back home. And, you know, so one question I have, he saw the exorcism. And a physical fight, and he was handed a potion that made him invisible. Is he just, are you open about being wizards, or are you trying to?
Well, I have not really been trying to hide it.
You can't hide an exorcism.
Exorcism is fine. That's white magic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't see me drawing pentagrams and lighting candles in the graveyard.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And in fact, it's well known that the de Medici family and others were actually talking to wizards in Venice and Italy in general. It's a well known practice. That does not worry Giacomo's father at all. He says he's in your debt, and if he can help with anything that doesn't damage relations or require him to do something that's against his country's interest, he will do that. Could be something like bail money. They're very wealthy.
That's cool. I would also point out that since he now knows we are some wizards who've helped his family in the past, he might call on us again if something supernatural befalls his family.
Yeah. You can tell he doesn't know whether to hug and kiss his son or beat him. Probably a combination of both.
After he feeds him and puts him to bed.
Yes, beatings shall commence in the morning.
I will be adamant. He needs rest and food, and then discipline. Yes.
It's awesome.
We'll have all of these.
We went in at a little bit after dark, and we were fighting in the cemetery for 4 hours. So it's, a little past midnight when we get out. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Do you go straight there in spite of the curfew? Do you hole up somewhere? What's the...
Yeah, if anybody tries to stop me over the curfew, they're going to get a piece of my mind.
Okay.
I want to get him home.
Yeah.
Yep, you get him home, and they do open up the door, and they're happy to see him, especially since he's yelling, for his father, and people have been worried about him. So you manage to rescue the young man and deliver him home safely to food and love and discipline. And you also get a note from your handler, thanking you for dealing with this. How he found about it so quickly, you're not sure.
Interesting. Now, technically, we completed a story, so we've reached a milestone.
Yep, you have.
And is this a minor milestone or a significant milestone? To me, I think it was, but I'm going to let you say, Vesna. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. We play relatively rarely.
Yeah.
And most of these are a big deal in your characters' lives. I think this is, usually it would be a minor milestone, but I think it's a significant one simply because of some of the stuff that happened.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, you have, you've bonded with new party members. You managed to defeat a fairly major supernatural menace. Everybody came out alive.
Yeah.
That was some quality wizarding, and you're starting to establish yourselves as wizards who get things done.
Okay.
So I think that counts, and you learned quite a bit.
We did. So what that means is we each get an extra spell. We each get a skill point, and pretty much, and then we can switch aspects around and some skills. So we'll probably do that offline.
Yep. And it won't happen every time, but I think it makes sense to do it here because, that was quite a big deal.
Great. Well, thank you for watching. That's a good session of Magonomia. And, well, there you go.
All right. Hope you enjoyed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.